Most scholars think that the oldest book in the Bible is Job. And there is a phrase in Job that is really, really good for us right now where we are at the end of this year. The phrase is in the 37th chapter and verse 14, and it says, "Stop and consider God's wonders." That's a good word for us right now at the end of this year. In fact, you know, when you read through the book of Psalms, every once in a while you'll have a group of verses or a chapter or somewhere along the way in one of the Psalms, and then you'll see the word Selah, S-E-L-A-H. Remember seeing that? What that is a word that says, okay, stop and consider right now what you just read. Meditate. You take a minute to go through in your mind, in contemplation, what you've just read in that passage. Selah. If I thought about it this morning, that's what I wish I would have titled this sermon. Our year-end sermon, Selah. Stop and consider God's wonders. I think this is important because there are great benefits in looking back and remembering different things about God through the year. A sort of reflection just before the dawn of the new year. And one benefit to this kind of reflection is that we receive this awareness that I'm not finished yet. What God has been doing, it's not over. This story that He's been writing, He's still writing and I'm still in it. We're still breathing. Something is still happening here. One pastor went up to a little boy one time and he was trying to impress on him the importance that he was made by God. And so he asked this little fella, "Sonny, who made you?" And the little boy responded, "Well, to tell you the truth, I ain't done yet." That's a great answer. That's our answer. Look how this principle is explained in a letter that Paul wrote to a group of believers in Philippi. Look at the verse. "There has never been the slightest doubt," Paul, the inspired writer, writes, "in my mind that God who started this great work in you would keep at it and bring it to a flourishing finish on the very day Christ Jesus appears." So, we're in process. And periodically, it's good to take some time to stop and consider God's wonders just so that we can be reminded He's still working on us. We're not pushing up daisies. We're still breathing air. We're here on this planet. Things are still moving. And what He started, He'll bring to completion one day in the future. That's one benefit of looking back. Another benefit of looking back is that it gives us a perspective and a chance to learn from what's already happened. I think this is a huge part of maturity and development. It's not just to keep blindly going forward, but to look at history and say, wait a second, this occurred and I can learn from that. You heard about the old cowboy that was out west, and he had his trusty old chocolate lab in the back of the truck, and he was pulling the trailer with Old Faithful, his favorite horse. And he was going along, and he fell asleep and went off the road, and his truck and trailer rolled several times, and he was knocked out of the truck into the woods, and had several broken bones. And finally, when the policeman arrived on the scene, he went out and he saw that trailer had ripped open, and the horse was just on its last breath. And the officer did the only merciful thing, took out his revolver and ended the horse's misery. And as he was making his way to the cowboy, he came across the dog. Dog couldn't move, had so many internal injuries, and he was in trouble. So he had his revolver and did the same thing, put the dog out of the misery there. And the cowboy was watching this whole thing as the guy approached him. And there he is, groaning and hurt and all the broken bones. And the policeman said, "Man, are you okay?" And the cowboy said, "Man, I never felt better. I feel great." You learn from the past. There's something about that that's very, very important. Things that have already happened. We take a backward look. Y'all, you made it through this year. You did it. God's grace got you through it. And there were decisions that you made in 2012. You made some great decisions in 2012. And being as sensitive as I can, you made some lousy decisions in 2012 too. But you're breathing. You made it. In fact, you gained experience in this past year. And all of this adds up to us looking to God, who through it all miraculously converts all of that experience into wisdom. So learning from what has already happened, huge benefit to looking back. And then more specifically, we get a chance when we look back to learn from our mistakes. And you got it. This is a great, great benefit. Young guy was promoted to a place in the company that at his age nobody had been promoted to before. A new position. A great position, not a new position, but a great position that nobody his age had received. Man, he was really excited, he was really honored, but he was scared. So he went to the venerable old timer in the company that was known for his wisdom. And so this young, new guy, promoted to this position, he goes to the old man and he says, listen, can you give me any words of advice? I'm a little nervous about this. And that old timer looked at him and gave him 2 words, and he said, right decisions. And the guy said, oh man, thank you. That's great advice. I was just wondering though, could you maybe be a little bit more specific? How do I make right decisions? And that old wise man gave him 1 word: experience. And then the young guy, the new exec, he just said, well, oh, that's good. But the whole reason I came to you is because I don't have any experience. How do I get the experience that I need? And the old man gave him 2 words: wrong decisions. Yeah. Learning from our mistakes is a huge benefit to looking back. So, in looking back, we get to remember that He's still working on us, and we can learn from things that have happened, and specifically, we can learn from our mistakes. And to think that you and I might learn from some of the mistakes that we made in 2012 to the point that we wouldn't make those mistakes again, now that is valuable. Really valuable. So, look at this passage, Psalm 77, verse 11 and 12. Once again, I'll go over what God has done. Lay out on the table the ancient wonders. I'll ponder all the things you've accomplished and give a long, loving look at your acts. Couple that with this passage in Isaiah 51:1. The NIV reads, look to the rock from which you were cut and to the quarry from which you were hewn. I love the King James Version. Look at that. Look unto the rock whence ye are hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence ye are digged. That's great. It's great language, isn't it? Look to the hole which ye are digged. These passages, if you're looking at right there, I think give us some really sound advice. Every once in a while, it's just worthwhile to take a look back at the pit that we came from. And that could be interpreted a couple of ways. One way is that, okay, let's remember the rock that we were cut from. It's a good rock. We came from a great religious heritage. Some of you have parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. Some of you, your faith that you're holding on to right now happened generations ago. You may have folks that aren't even faithful. You may have grandfolks that could give a rip about the Lord. But something is stirring inside of you. Somebody back there somewhere was praying that their generations, there's faith back there. I think one of the greatest things about going to heaven one day is you're going to meet all of your faithful lineage. People you don't have any idea who they are. Remember that movie Antoine Fisher when he goes and gets to meet his people? It's a great, great moment there. Yeah, that's going to happen. Remember the rock that you were hewn from. And I think there's also another meaning to that pit. You guys, 2012, some of us, we were rescued from holes that we couldn't get out of. That's good stuff too. Not only the rock that I was cut from, that heritage, but also some of us we were down under. And unless there was divine intervention, we're still there. I think that there's a couple of ways you could look at that verse. So, you'll notice on your programs, you got your programs, open it up to that notes sheet. You got 3 bullets. Here's bullet number 1. Write this question down on that bullet. I'm going to give you a chance to think about this. What have been the hardest moments in your life in 2012? Now, by the way, this is for your eyes only. No cheating. Don't look at the person next to you. They might write your name down. Do not look at anybody else's paper. This is just you. What have been some of the hardest moments? Now, before you answer that question, I'm going to give you a chance to answer that a little bit. You can jot down some things. I want you to know that a part of stopping and considering the wonders of God, a part of that includes going to moments of pain. Now, I know in our American culture, pain is like a plague. And it's to be avoided at all costs. The crazy thing about pain, though, is there is so much that we get to learn. Do you know God never wastes a pain? Anything that you go through that's causing you hurt, grief, torment, it's crazy the way our culture's got us thinking. They have us thinking that we need to avoid the pain at all costs, because if we go to the pain, it's going to put us in a downward spiral that we can't get out of. You know the truth is, if you don't go to the pain, you'll go through a downward spiral that you can't get out of. And the beauty of all beauties about pain, guess who's waiting right there if you're willing to go? It's the craziest thing in the world. You think you're stepping off the cliff if you go ahead and go through that in uncomfortable torment, but He's there. So you go. Pain. Go to the pain. Look at this passage, Psalm 77. Love it. I yelled out to my God. I yelled with all my might. I yelled at the top of my lungs. He listens. I found myself in trouble and went looking for my Lord. My life was an open wound that wouldn't heal. When friends said, everything will turn out all right, I didn't believe a word they said. I remember God. I shake my head. I bow my head. Then wring my hands. I'm awake all night, not a wink of sleep. I can't even say what's bothering me. I go over the days one by one. I ponder the years gone by. I strum my lute all through the night, wondering how to get my life together. Will the Lord walk off and leave us for good? Will He never smile again? Is His love worn threadbare? Has His salvation promise burned out? Has God forgotten His manners? Has He angrily stalked off and left us? Just my luck, I said, the high God goes out of business just the moment I need Him. Can you believe that's in the Bible? That is a great word for us. And the word is, it's okay to be honest with God about painful moments that you go through. Just go to Him. Take a moment right now. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Got a little background music going on. You got 2 minutes. I want you to write down key words that describe really painful moments of 2012. Mark said, go. I'm hopeful that what you're doing right now will just scratch the surface for you to take some more time, even maybe between now and the end of the year. It just gives you, less than 48 hours to just kind of reflect and look back. Bullet number 2, write this question down. What have been the most blessed moments in your life in 2012? What have been the most blessed moments? And I'll come back to that. You can see that screen in a second. We can't overlook the blessings. Look up and see this verse. This is the same chapter that I just read where that guy's crying out in all of his pain. Pick up with verse 11. Look what it says. Once again, I'll go over what God has done. Lay out on the table the ancient wonders. I'll ponder all the things you've accomplished and give a long, loving look at your acts, O God. Your way is holy. No God is like our God. Is like God. You're the God who makes things happen. You showed everyone what you can do. You pulled your people out of the worst kind of trouble. Oh, this second bullet now that's up there, if you haven't finished writing down the question, you write down now. I want you to take a couple of minutes again, and I want you to recount and write down your biggest blessings, 2012. Take 2 minutes right now and do that. All right, go. Okay, bullet number 3. This is a weird one. Look at the screen. What do you anticipate being most thankful for in 2013? That's kind of a weird one, isn't it? It's not like we're fortune tellers. And it's not like, okay, now you're all deemed a prophet, now go out and foretell the future. I'm not trying to be weird. I'm just trying to say, of the things that you think might happen with the dawn of this new year, as you look forward in a spirit of thankfulness that we've really tried to end strong with this year, write down some things that you're looking forward to. All right, I'm going to come back to this bullet in just a second, but you've got to see this passage. Look at Psalm 138 on the screen. This guy writes to God, "Thank you. Everything in me says thank you. Angels listen as I sing my thanks. I kneel in worship facing your holy temple and say it again, thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your faithfulness. Most holy is your name. Most holy is your word. The moment I called out, you stepped in. You made my life large with strength. When they hear what you have to say, God, all earth's kings will say, thank you. They'll sing of what you've done. How great the glory of God." And here's why. God, high above, sees far below, no matter the distance. He knows everything about us. When I walk into the thick of trouble, keep me alive with the angry, and keep me alive in the angry turmoil. With one hand strike my foes, with your other hand save me. Finish what you started in me, God. Your love is eternal. Don't quit on me now. I sense a lot of thankfulness in the future in that prayer. So, what I want you to do is take some time right now to thank the Lord in advance for whatever you think might be coming in this year. Make sense? I want you, really what I want you kind of to do is I want you to write a personal thank you note right now to God for whatever He might do. God, whatever you've got planned for this coming year, I just want you to know right now, I'm thinking. And I'm thinking that maybe these things might happen. So I'm going to thank you in advance right now. This is what I'm going to do. All right, you guys ready? On your mark, set, go. As we close chapter 2012. And we see God pull back the pages of a brand new one. Uncharted waters. The dawn of 2013. 2013, dude. With all that our loving Lord in His grace has in store. Now, the times when the road's going to be bumpy, you all know it's going to get bumpy sometime in 2013. And there will be moments in 2013 where, I mean, we're on one of those trains that don't even sit on the tracks, and it's got that electromagnetic thing, and you're right above it, you're going all over 200, it's smooth. There'll be moments like that in 2013. And you feel like, okay, I got a little taste of something of heaven right now. And then there'll be moments in 2013 that'll get rough. And you'll kind of think, this feels a little bit more like what I think hell's going to be like. Rough. Okay, so whether the road is bumpy or it's smooth, sunshine or storm, with this resolve, we're going to sing this song in just a second. And the song says, with all of my breath and with this heart in my chest, every look in my eye, oh Father, I affirm, in 2013, I'm coming your way. Above family, above my closest relationships, above my job, above all of the responsibilities that I have that I'm going to face this year, above all of that, I'm coming your way to know you and your will more, to seek you above everything else. You, your righteousness, your kingdom. I'm coming your way. All right, to that end, let's pray right now.